What's up, guys? Welcome back to JK Fishing, and today we are going to be installing this Minn Kota terrova iPilot Link 72-inch shaft freshwater mega down imaging electric trolling motor. I'm really excited to put this on our boat. Been wanting one for a really long time. We're going to show you guys how we mount this on the boat, how we wire it, we're going to show you the bracket we built for the batteries, the whole install. We're going to take you guys along for the ride. Let's get to it. So this mount we're actually using, guys, is a Minn Kota MKA21 for the Terrova Altera models. This is a big motor, 72-inch shaft. They're extremely hard to find, and you're probably wondering why this mount is already on the motor. We bought this motor used. They're, like I said, extremely hard to find, and the guy selling it had taken this quick release bracket off of this inner puck. So we didn't have the inner puck. It was still on his boat. So we had to go to Grimsby Tackle and pick one up. Martin there cuts his own, and you know, nowhere else you can get just the puck. So it's super sweet that Grimsby Tackle had that. Big shout out to them over there. When you're lining this the motor up on the front, you want to make sure that the shaft and the head of the motor does not go past the gunnel. Because if it's hanging over the gunnel and you're driving by, you don't want to have to account for something sticking out. You want everything to be inside of your walls on your boat. You also want to make sure when you're mounting it that this inside piece here, if you can see on the actual trolling motor bracket and not the mounting plate, this is where the shaft is going to drop down. So if this piece is not over top, as you can see our gunnel on the other side there, if it's not over top there, that's a problem, because then your shaft is going to be hitting this, and that's a problem. So you want to give it a bit of clearance, guys, and account for that. You know, obviously make sure it's the bracket's going to be secured inside. We have a center console, which makes it a bit hard to go all the way to the end of the gunnel with the bracket, because we have a bit of a taper on the edge. That kind of sucks. So you'll see as well when we drill this bracket back on and we flip it around, we're not going to use all 6 bolts that come with it. We're only going to use 4, because, you know, normally what guys would do is this little piece of the bracket would actually be underneath the whole trolling motor. And so it'll be structurally sound. We know it will. We've been recommended by other people to do it. They said they've had no issues when they mounted it like that. Unfortunately, the only other way to do it was to get one of the sliding brackets from Minn Kota. That one you'd be able to mount all the bolts in. So it's nice to see how the motor fit with the bracket on. That was important because we wanted to line the bracket up on the edge of the gunnel before it tapers. We want to make sure the head didn't swing over the gunnel. Now we can line this bracket up with the marks we drew and put the puck inside. Just like this. Oh, yeah. It's a little bit tapered as well, so it locks in. And just like that, it's going to look like that. So we're going to take the puck out, we're going to trace the inside, and we're going to drill this puck in. And then we'll put quick release bracket back on the motor, and we'll be able to mount the trolling motor. We don't have a pencil that fits through here, so we're dabbing something that will fit into these holes and spray paint to mark out where we need to drill the holes with the bolts for this little puck, inner puck. So if I lift that, there we go. Now it's time to drill our holes. This is there we go. We're gonna reinforce it with some plywood. This stuff's pretty sturdy. You could do like a piece of metal. We did that with our rails when we installed them, our track system, but it just adds some reinforcement so there's not as much stress on the fiberglass. Thickens it up a bit. Alright guys, so we got the holes drilled into the piece of plywood. We got 4 sunken stainless steel bolts, and then 4 washers. These are just ones that we have, they're an assortment. And we have 4 nuts as well. They should be right here. These are, make sure you got locking nuts, guys. You don't want something unscrewing because there's only 4 of them, and you know, one goes off, 2, and then you got a serious issue. So yeah, now this is kind of a 2-person job, so I'm gonna have my dad underneath holding the sheet of plywood, as well as a socket, or a ratchet, sorry, with the to hold the bolts in place while I or the nuts in place while I drill a bolt. Make sure you get a washer on there. Good. Don't crank it too hard. Yeah, I think the plywood will take most of the stress though when you tighten it. All right, so we tighten down the bolts with the washers and the lock nuts. That's our puck. Here's our mount. And that's how it's gonna look. Nice, does not hang over this tapered edge. You want to get the full bracket over top of it. Nice and flat area too that we got it on. And it's a little bit inside of our measurement. We were careful, so now make sure the head runs inside the gunnel. And last but not least, look at that. That's why you measure everything out, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And we took like 3 different measurements with the trolling motor on, without it on, and then with a measuring tape as well. So we're going to put this bracket back on to this outside part of the bracket back onto the trolling motor. We'll show you how we do that, and then we'll put the motor on for you guys. So we're almost done. So guys, as you can see, the bottom has the sinks for the bolts. So we're not going to flip it around, but what they have is for this little quick release and this quick release pin. You can put a lock in it as well. Just pop it out, guys. They're made symmetrical. So now, you know, once you pop that in, you line up that hole, and I'll pull that out a bit to line it up. There you go. Now I'll put the plate back on, and we're getting ready to put it on the boat. We'll show you guys how I put this plate back on. Good enough for now. Oh, you want to crank it? Yeah, go ahead. Good. You can when you got the right. Good. All right, so now I'm just gonna put the cover back on. This side's always tough because it has the power cable. You don't want to crack the plastic though. So enough pressure, feel it out. And as well, low torque on the drill, because you don't want to crack the plastic when you're tightening. The screws, and then the other side. That's in. And last one. So yeah, it depends on the way your gunnel is. Ours is tapered, so for us, we didn't want to cover the anchor box. We want to have an anchor there that we can take out while the trolling motor is on. So we decided to only go with 4. A lot of fiberglass boats go with 4. This mount is super strong. And yeah, let's put this on the boat, and then we'll be done part 1 of the install. All right, time to put it on, see what she looks like. This is one of the more physically grueling parts of the install. There we go. And quickly, oh, wrong side, because we changed it. Don't want to lose my flip-flop, guys. Definitely wear better work place attire than
steel-toed boots.
And that's important not to fall off. Well, that's why those holes go.
Hold on. Okay. Now put it down on the puck. No. This way.
All right, we got the quick release in. It didn't go in too easy. Screwed it real because we screwed the puck real tight to the surface. Just means that you got to push it down a lot. We're not going to be removing this too often. It's nice that it's snug. So the cool thing about these quick releases that Minn Kota the sliding track doesn't have is this little hole to lock it. Got a lock that fits in there, and considering how hard it was to get this in, imagine trying to pull that out and after cutting a lock. Yeah, not gonna happen. So yeah, there you go. That's the first part of our series on installing this trolling motor. Next, we're gonna show you guys the batteries and the wiring. We're gonna have to cut some holes in the hull to put the plug in, and as well, we're gonna have to wire 3 batteries to create a 36-volt battery. Yeah. So we'll see you guys at the next video.